Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. Do you like the new background music? I don't know, kind of got tired of the other stuff, so we're doing fantasy exploration music background this time. And if that gets old, then we'll do something else. But anyway. Anyway, So we are going to be working on Alchemortis today. That's it. That's the whole plan. And I actually have another card that I drew here. This is a figurehead of a ship, but the idea is that it's going to be called a cursed figurehead. So we're going to figure out what abilities we're going to give this figurehead here. It's a 1x3 card, so that means that, you know, there's like 3 1x3 cards now, or 2 1x3 cards for the player, something like that. So yeah, we'll be doing that, and then there's some other stuff that I want to do. May work on the UI a little bit, the UI for the unlock system, but we'll see. Might be just kind of like a hodgepodge kind of day today. Anyway, before we get into it, I want to remind everyone that Alchemortis is available for wishlisting, so check out the Steam page, it's linked below. The Alchemortis playtest is still live, however, it is ending today. I'll leave it up for the next 4 or 5 hours here. So you still have 4 or 5 hours to get your runs in if you want to try it out before I take the playtest down, and we have to wait until the next playtest. By the way, if you got a key for this playtest because you were a Patreon supporter, do not be alarmed when that key gets revoked. That's how I'm doing it. So, like, the key revocation is part of the process of, like, winding down the playtest. If you remain a Patreon subscriber, or if you resubscribe at a future point when there's a playtest running, I will send you a new key for that. So don't be alarmed if you see that the key gets revoked. That's just a normal part of spinning down the playtest. And also, you can support the game on Patreon. This top tier here will get you a pre-purchase of Alchemortis, so I'll send you a Steam key when the game launches, and your name will be listed in the Alchemortis credits. All right, let's go ahead and do this. Hello, Clickertail. Welcome, welcome. You also got started early today. Welcome, Chris. The early alchemist catches the worm, as they say. Do they say that? You like the new music? Good. Yeah. It's a little bit more thematic, that's for sure. The only problem is I only have like 30 minutes worth of tracks looping right now. So it may get repetitive, but, you know, maybe 4 loops of the playtest for the 2-hour stream is not terrible, but we'll see. Hello, Bubblegum Lord. Welcome, welcome. Good morning, Emerson. How are you doing? Good morning. All right, so we've got the cursed figurehead here. Cursed figurehead. This is a 1x3 card. Let's do 12 turn cooldown. Is enemy, is boss. Nope. This is a relic. We'll just make it purely a relic. I don't think we have that many relic cards. Yeah. So we're just going to make that one a relic purely. All right. So what are we going to do? Hello, PTK Stefano. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you again. Just find what people use for D&D campaigns, I guess. Yeah, I mean, the problem is I need to make sure that I have the rights to use it. Otherwise, I'm going to get hit with, like, copyright violations. So this music that's in the background is actually from the sound effects and music pack that I shared in the Discord yesterday. And according to the license, you are free to use it in any media project, even commercially, which I think this classifies as a commercial media product. So, yeah. So that's the only part is, like, you know, gotta find something that's not going to get my channel a violation. All right, what ability should we give this? Let's look at the card inspection tool. Let's see what kind of gaps we have in our abilities. Also, we should actually be able to see the figurehead here. Maybe if I go to unspecified. Yeah, there it is. Looks pretty decent. Again, it's not the best piece of art in the world, but it's serviceable for sure. All right, so let's see. We have a lot of... Well, I should filter by ally. So we got a good amount of damage. We don't have any damage shield, or much damage shield, rather. we have a decent amount of heal. We don't have a lot of shielding for ourselves. I wonder if shielding would be a good thing to add to this cursed figurehead. We're going to add a couple of abilities to it, but let's see. Fire we're healthy on, poison we're healthy on, echo. Bleed? No, bleed is not going to work. Ability projector, swarm decorator, speed. Interesting. I have an idea. I'm just trying to think of something like interesting. Like I was thinking like this card could have an ability that's like self-damage. Well, do I want to do damage though? I was thinking this card could do something negative to yourself, but then it could have a really strong like positive ability that triggers only when you incur that negative. So for example, this card, it's something like if you deal damage to yourself, or if you deal self-damage, or if this card deals self-damage, or something like if self-damage is taken, something like that, since the last execution, then like do something crazy. You know what I mean? I think that would be kind of interesting, especially if you want other people to make videos your game too. You got to get that CC0 right. Yeah. Now, all the tracks in my game are original tracks, so I have the rights to those. So yeah, I mean, there's not going to be any... I obviously don't want there to be any copyright issues for people playing my game, right? But yeah, if you're making a game and you're using tracks, you need to make sure that the tracks that you're using have the proper license. You don't want to get burned by... big streamers video getting taken down because your music in your game was copyrighted. Cursed figurehead, siren, hex, mind control of some sorts. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Hello, Wuius. How much paralysis do we have? So we got confuse. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of confuse, but we could definitely add that. Let me see something real quick. Turn executor component, is that what it is? Add card to rerun lifecycle list. Where is this? So it reruns a lifecycle again. Add card to rerun execution list. Okay. So I might bring, I could, there's an opportunity here to bring back the old echo functionality too. There's an opportunity to bring back the old echo functionality. Although... Let's see. Need to indicate whether this is an out-of-band execution. Run execution context. Let's see. Run execution. Execution initiator. And then we also have the base card. Execution initiator. Create execution context. Let's see. Is card executing turn? Hex is now named Confused makes sense. Yeah, Hex was a little bit too specific to like witchcraft or whatever, and I wanted to have other things able to apply that, so Confusion is what it's called now. Yep. Welcome, by the way. I don't think I said hello to you, Tom. Welcome, welcome. Let's try this. Let's do... I always have a hard time thinking of this stuff. We don't have a lot of self-damage abilities. So I'm going to try... Let's just experiment with this. Cursed Figurehead. So I'm going to do ability builder dot damage. And we're going to do 5. But then I'm going to create a new ability. Maybe I'll make them 3 separate abilities. Do I want to make them 3 separate abilities? Anyway, scripts data ability. Let's just call it rerun card execution. Then we'll do namespace game dot data dot ability public class rerun card execution base card ability public override void execute execution result return new execution result. Why do I not... I don't make enough use of this execution result, I don't think. But I guess this can just be empty result. Okay. If execution context. So this is where I'm going to need a new... add new flag to indicate whether this is a normal execution. So I'm going to need that. If execution context dot is card executing turn, we are going to do execution context dot turn executor component dot add card to rerun execution list execution context base card. Oh, rerun execution context. Okay. Abilities to exclude filter. Am I using this properly? Abilities to exclude filter. I think so. I must be using it correctly. What in the heck? Yeah, okay. All right. So add card to rerun execution list. I actually don't know how this is going to work. Swarm decorator. Random swarm ability. Ability has ancestor. Okay. New rerun execution context. Base card. And then the abilities to execute filter. Ability. Oh, it's card ability. Ability is not equal to this. Okay, I think that will work. So we've got the rerun card execution there. So in here, what I'll do is I'll do a new composed ability. Let's do var self damage taken. Damage taken provider. Damage type dot physical. Shoot. Get damage dealt by card. That's not going to work. Get damage dealt. Let's see my turn history. Get damage dealt to board. I don't have a way of tracking the self damage specifically. I think what I would do is I would do public int get self damage dealt board. Damage dealt entries where entry receiver board is equal to board and entry initiator board is equal to board. And entry.type equals type. Damage dealt entries. Turn history. Turn context. That's not going to work either. Hold up a second. Now I have to figure out what the heck I'm doing here. Get self-damage dealt. Where is this used? Let's see. Oh, I see. Right. So this is on an individual turn history entry, but then I need to sum that up in the turn context here. All right. I think there's a way to simplify this, or there's a way to make this like queryable, but I'm going to fix this. Hello, Jackie Daytona. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. It's nice to check up on the project. Keeps me motivated to code my own game, though I keep on re-engineering systems. It's now in a much better state, at least. Yeah, sometimes the re-engineering is necessary, you know, but there is obviously a danger that you just do that too much. Get self-damage dealt since ability execution. Yeah, so this will work. By board, type since ability, number of previous turns. Get previous ability, turn execution index. Get current turn history range. Total damage is equal to first entry get self-damage dealt. Total damage plus equals sum gets self-damage dealt. Last turn execution index. Get previous ability turn execution index. Okay. Is this right? Hold on a second. Oh, get damage dealt since... Right. This needs to be... So there's a trick here, which is that basically I need to get the sum of the things since the last ability execution. So I actually need to track when in the turn the ability executed and exclude anything that happened during that turn but before that ability executed, right? So I'm going to make it very predictable so that it's like if the ability executes in the middle of the turn, so it's surrounded by, it's got 4 abilities that execute before it and 4 abilities that execute after it. I don't want the abilities that are executed before it to count, or is that right? I forgot. Basically, I need to get the actual ability execution index within the turn so that I can get the exact abilities that were executed since the previous execution, right? Because if I don't do that, the previous time the ability executed, if I just look at the entire turn, then I would get any damage sources that happened before the ability executed on the previous turn, as well as any damage sources that happened after the ability executed on the previous turn. So basically, the problem is I could be double counting stuff. But what I need to do in here is I need to do public int get self damage dealt since ability execution. And this is basically just a copy paste here. Some damage dealt entries. Yes, this is basically summing the damage dealt, but it's adding this extra filter in there. So I think that should work. So get self damage dealt since ability execution. Okay. All right. I think that will work. I think that will work. All right. Anyway. Damage taken provider. Now I need to figure out how to modify this. I guess I could just, I'll just make a new ability. It's fine. New ability. Self damage dealt provider. I could probably extend this with some conditionals here. Maybe, hold on a second, maybe I should do that. Oh, but I can't. I would have to support count instances in here as well. Okay. All right. Sensibility bool count instances. Wait a minute. This is wrong here too. Son of a biscuit. This get damage taken, I'm looking at this as an example of what I need to do here, but this get damage taken since ability execution. What is going on here? Get damage taken since ability execution, get damage dealt. Okay. Maybe that is correct. I don't know. I don't know if this is correct. It might be okay. I wonder if it's just the language that's not super clear, but anyway. Anyway, we won't worry about that just yet. I wonder if this is just a... I think this is just a language thing. Because I'm passing in 2 boards, so get damage taken 2 board. This should say get damage dealt 2 board. And then this could just become get damage dealt 2 board. So this is just calling... Yeah, that might be the case, but anyway, I'll look at that later. Get self-damage dealt. So I need to do if count instances. I'm just going to do this. Total damage. Get self-damage dealt count. This is not right either. Oh, wait, no, it is. All right, this needs to be all simplified here. All right, anyway, let's move this down. Public int get self damage dealt count. Okay. Public int get self damage dealt count since ability execution. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. So now I can go in here. Get self damage dealt count. since ability execution. Byboard, get self damage dealt since ability execution. Count instances, entry.get self damage dealt count. Okay. I think there's an opportunity to simplify this all very, very significantly, but we're not going to do that right now. Okay, so now all that was done so that I can go back to my damage taken provider. Bool self damage equals false. Get self damage taken, execution context, source board, damage type. This count instances. All right, whatever. That should work. Damaging cards, that's get cards that dealt damage since ability execution. That's fine. Okay. Anyway, good morning, Nathan. Welcome back. Good to see you. So, anyway, damage taken provider physical. Count instances false. Let's do self damage true. All right. Then we do var rerun execution equals rerun card execution. Then we do var conditional ability decorator is equal to new conditional ability decorator. Rerun execution, self damage taken is greater than 0. Abilities, conditional ability decorator. We also need to do self damage taken here. Okay. And I actually want to do, maybe I'll make this, I kind of want to make this a actual value. So const int base self damage is equal to 5. Tier var scalar is equal to ability scalars dot get damage scalar. Okay. Current self damage is equal to scalar base self damage tier. This will be greater than or equal to current self damage. Okay. So that is going to require a certain amount of self damage to be done. And then description function. This card executes again if at least current self damage was taken since I just want to make sure I'm using the same language that I usually use. Since last execution. Last execution. Okay. Goodness gracious. Okay, all right. So I still have a bug in here, a potential bug. I may end up with an infinite loop here. So this is card executing turn. This needs to change. This piece of data needs to change. So instead of just doing a check to see if the base card that is executing is equal to the execution initiator, that's not very useful, because if I'm rerunning a card execution and it's rerunning itself, then what that would say is that I'm still executing my turn. But what I want this to mean is like this is just part of the natural, like the turn cooldown has gone to 0, and so that's why it's executing. If this is false, then that would indicate that the card is either executing out of band, like outside of the normal turn order. Well, that's all that would mean, I guess. That's all that would mean. But I want to make sure that this is not being used anywhere else. Execution context is card executing turn. So this is the only place where this flag is going to have to change. Yeah, so I'm going to need to change that, but I guess let's just see if this works first. I may end up seeing some bugs, but I'm not sure. Cursed figurehead. Dawn development stream. Yes, indeed. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you, RN Genesis. And I don't have any combats. Let's do training dummy. All right, here we go. Here we go. Cursed figurehead. Oh, that's wrong. I already messed it up. Cursed figurehead needs to deal self damage. Ability builder damage, target self true. Hello, Light Tiramisu. Welcome back. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, let's do it. Come on. Deal 5 damage to self. This card executes again if at least 5 self damage. I get it. Anyway. So what I should see, this might actually end up in an infinite loop, but let's see. I might crash the game Stack Overflow here. Or it's just going to insta-kill it. Oh, no. Why is that not insta-killing itself? Oops. Card executes again if at least 5 self-damage was taken since last execution. Why is that not creating an infinite loop? Oh, I'm filtering out this ability, right? I'm making sure not to execute this ability again, because that would create the infinite loop. I bet you I would see what I'm looking for if I go here and I remove this abilities to execute filter. I bet you it's not going to be an infinite loop. What's going to happen is I'm probably going to instant kill myself. I think that's probably what would happen. I'm hoping that's what would happen, because then that means the system is working like I expect it to. Yeah. Okay. So that's why, so I'm filtering out this ability from executing on any future, so any execution that is happened as a result of this ability, it's excluding itself, so it's not going to trigger again. So it's this is card executing turn that is going to be the big problem, I think. Actually, do I need to do this? So every time the card executes, it needs to clear the projected composed abilities and clear the tick execution debuffs. So that's right. Am I just wrong? Do I not need the, whatchamacallit? If a card reruns itself, can break logic, needs to indicate whether there's an out-of-band execution. Okay, give me just 3 minutes. I'll be right back, okay? I'll be right back. Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. Insta-kill yourself sounds like an amazing ability. Oh, shoot. I actually forgot something in the other room, too. Okay, hold on. I'm going to be right back again. I'm sorry. Oh, goodness. All right, all right, all right. Okay, hopefully that's the last interruption. Okay, here we go. So I need to basically know whether a card is executing its natural turn. But I don't know if I need that yet, actually. Is turn execution... This is card executing turn. Is turn execution. Get card turn execution count. Count card execution entries. What is this? Okay. I think I need two separate pieces of data. Let me think about this. I don't know if it's worth doing all this stuff right now, but it might be. Let's see. So turn history entry, no. Turn executor component. Run execution context. No. So is card executing turn? Base card execution initiator. So I think this should be renamed. I actually have no idea what to do with this. Maybe I just leave it for now instead of trying to mess with it. Maybe it's fine, actually. Execution context, base card. Base card is equal to execution initiator. Maybe I'll just leave it. I don't think it's going to cause any problems right now. I think there is a potential issue here. I'm trying to think, what is the potential issue? If a card reruns itself, it could break logic, but I don't actually know if that's true. Oh, I think if a card reruns its... If a card... I think this would only be an issue if a card reruns a subset of its abilities, then it will count as a full turn execution. So I think that's the problem. Because I can support inside of like the execution context. I can run only certain abilities, so I think that's probably the problem. So I think maybe the simple way to do this would be to just explicitly set it instead of deriving that property. So if I go to my execution context here, instead of doing this, I'll do is turn execution, something like that, or is full execution. And then instead of deriving this, we'll do that. And then in my turn executor component, so create execution context. I wonder if that's going to break things too. Oh no. So here, run execution context. Let's add this property. Public bool. Let's do a required here. Required bool is full execution. Okay. So, run lifecycle tick. So this execution initiator will default to the base card. So what I'm going to want to do in here is I'm going to want to do is full execution equals true here. Okay. And then in here, rerun context. Is full execution equals rerun context dot is full execution. Uh-oh. Rerun execution context, right, is full execution here. Okay. That's going to create some errors, but let's see where those are. Hello, Kelso. Welcome, welcome. Ludon Jabara, first time on stream. Looks cool. You publish your games? Yeah, I'm releasing this game on Steam, so it will definitely be out. You could check out the Steam link in the description below if you're interested. I think this rerun execution context here, it needs to be is full execution true here. Okay, I think that will work. Okay. Anyway, hello, Ito Makes Games. Welcome back. Good to see you. Okay, anyway, we could go back to working on the figurehead here. I think that stuff should be fixed now. Should be fixed. Oh, wait. No, I need to put execution context.is full execution there. Okay. So now if I look at this, wherever this is used, we're going to change this to is full execution as well. So this is basically just saying the card has executed all of its abilities. So it counts for the purposes of like getting how many times a card is executed. The presence of this flag is going to determine that. Because it is possible for a card to execute abilities in a way that does not count as a full execution. Then if I go to my base card here, if we're in a full execution, then we're going to clear the projected composed abilities, and the execution execution count debuffs. So okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. Let's just see what happens. Hello, Ninja Link, welcome. Good morning to you. All right, let's see if I broke anything. I'm also going to test this hag because she projects, and so the projected ability should be cleared as well. So let's see what happens. So there's that projection. The projection should go away. It did. This should be confused. Okay. I think we're good. Do these have the same turn cooldown? No. Is this not dealing damage? Oh, it's got a 50% blind, that's why. Sometimes it's not dealing damage because it's being blinded by the hag. Okay. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, so obviously this cursed figurehead is only a negative ability, so we need to add some kind of like really strong ability to it now. How long have you been coding in C#? Several years now. I mean, I've been doing it on and off for a while, but I do almost all of my serious Godot projects in C#, and I've been doing Godot since like 2017. So yeah, quite a long time. Quite a long time, I would say. Welcome, by the way, Walter. Looks like I've missed a lot. I don't think so. I just added a new card here, and I'm just supporting its abilities now. Just supporting its abilities now. So we need to give this... we need to give this a much stronger ability, but start on Cursed Figurehead abilities and... what? And clean up execution logic. Okay, alright. Is this inspired by backpack battles? Yeah, it's inspired by backpack battles, the Bazaar, and other auto battlers for sure. So, but the main hook of this game is that you can use alchemy to create your own builds and synergies. So you're not just limited by what the card's default behavior is. Okay. Close all. Let's go to Cursed Figurehead. Alright, so now we need to give this a really strong ability that will make this worthwhile, because right now it's basically going to deal 10 damage to you every turn, which is quite a lot. But if we can get it to... have something kind of strong, we could take a look at our card inspector here and see what we're missing. Honestly, I'm kind of tempted just to make it deal damage, even though we have plenty of damage already. Trying to learn Unity for about 4 months, seeing you work makes me scared. I don't think I can achieve this level of flow in coding. It takes a while. It's like any skill. It takes a while to develop, and you know, to some extent it's not useful to compare where you're at to other people. Because I was in that boat too when I first started programming. You know, I was looking at people who were just like, oh, I can just whip this up, and I was like, how in the world are they doing that? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do basic stuff. And they're just like diving into this code that makes absolutely no sense. I was in that stage too, and I think everyone's in that stage at some point when you're learning. So you just gotta stick with it, keep learning, and eventually you get to the point where people will be looking at you and going like, wow, how is that person doing that? So, oh, I'm looking at enemy. So we got shielding, fire, poison, echo, bleed, speed, blind, crit chance. What should we give the cursed figurehead here? Unspecified. I mean, I honestly probably should just give it some damage. Maybe fire, but it's not really thematically appropriate with fire. So maybe that wouldn't be a good one. Yeah, probably just damage, honestly. Let's do this. Let's do the self-damage down a little bit. And then what we'll do is we will do ability builder dot damage. We'll just give it like, we have to keep in mind that this is going to echo, so we could do like 8 damage. Yeah, let's just give it 8 damage. Okay. I think that's kind of an interesting card. So you'll have the ability to like rerun the card execution again. So execute the card again if you're taking self-damage. So I'm not imagining that this card by itself is going to be super useful because of the self-damage on it. I mean, I guess you need self-damage, but I think this is really going to shine if you can get that this card executes again onto another card. I think that's going to be good, but let's see. Why is that not dealing... Is it not working? It's only dealing 8 damage once. Why is it dealing only 8 damage once? Did this break suddenly? Did this break suddenly? Why is this not... Execution context is full execution. Add card to rerun execution list. Rerun execution list. It's full execution. Why did that break all of a sudden? That doesn't seem right. Let's go ahead and just start debugging this. Swarm would have been interesting too. Yeah, Swarm could have worked. Hello, Jeremy. Didn't expect early stream today. New card. Yeah, we're working on a new card. The stream is early today because I have something to do later at the normal stream time, or during the normal stream time. Hello, Moneybags. Welcome. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. I'll be doing my first ever game jam this weekend for the Brackies event. Any last minute advice you can give me so I don't overscope myself? Yeah, I mean, you should set... Obviously, the game jam has a deadline, but my general approach to my general approach to game jams is that you should have your game done from a mechanics standpoint within the first 50% of the game jam time. So if you're doing a 40, I don't know how long the Brackeys is, but if you're doing a 48-hour jam, within the first 24 hours, your game should be solidified, like, mechanically. And then the second half of the time should be used to add sound effects, polish, an options menu, if you can, particles, all that good stuff, and then building out whatever content. So if you're building a platformer, then you can use that last half of the time for building out the levels and stuff. That's my general rule that I follow. You do need quite a lot of time for polishing. If you spend all of your time working on the game mechanics and the features, your entry is actually going to suffer, because the particles, the presentation, the art, the sound effects, all that stuff is going to factor into your score, especially if it's being played by other people. If it's not being judged by like a panel of judges, if it's just other people playing it, you need to impress them. And to impress them, the game needs to be flashy. It needs to feel good. It needs to look good, all that stuff. So it's okay to go light on the mechanics. It's okay to go light on the content. I definitely wouldn't sacrifice the presentation of your game for adding more content. If you have to choose between adding more levels to your puzzle platformer or polishing the heck out of it to make it feel really good, you should take that option first. People aren't going to mind a game jam being light on content, but they will mind if the controls are janky or the game is just generally not like full and vibrant, you know what I mean? Seems like I'm not going to miss any of your streams from now on. Excellent. Hello, Nothing. How's the feedback from playtest going? It's going good. It's going really good. We are four people away from hitting 600, but the playtest ends today. Currently 596 people opted into the playtest. So it's a 7 days event. I recently started playing around with particles. Do you know anyone worth watching explaining the particle system more? Do you have any videos talking about it? I don't. I don't. I'm sorry. But yeah, polish is greater than content. Yeah, I mean, the content is important. I'm not saying the content isn't important, but you're short on time. And so I think, and here's the thing too, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that they have to pack their game jam game with content, and that's just not the right way of thinking about game jam games. The right way to think about a game jam game is like somebody's going to play it for 5 minutes. So if you've got a half hour of content, it's like, that's largely going to be wasted. There will be some people that will say, oh, I wish there was more content, or like, I played the whole 30 minutes and I loved every second of it. But for the most part, most people, when they're judging these games, is they go in, they play around with it for like a couple minutes. They may play for like 5 to 10 minutes if they're having a particular amount of fun with it. But for the most part, they're not going to be finishing your game if it's too long. So yeah, I think a lot of people, they tend to think, oh, I need to pack this full of content or else I'm going to get a low score. It's like, that's not actually true. Let's see why this is not working. Ugh, I hate bugs. It's just not working. Did I accidentally delete? What the heck? Why is that not working? Rerun card. If execution context, it's saying that this is not a full execution. Uh-oh, that's not good. Bracker released a video a few weeks ago going over VFX, and that covers the Godot particle systems. There you go. I mean, it's one thing to know how to use the particle system. It's another thing to know how to create interesting particles. Why is this false? Let's go through the stack here. Execution. Oh, I know. I know why. I'm not copying that over in my execution context with state here. That's why it's not working. I hate that. I hate that. That's awesome. I'll make some time to write my feedback. Game is looking very good. The only thing I didn't like too much was the alchemy system. Uh-oh. Well, I did change the alchemy system quite a bit from the playtest already. So now if I alchemize something, the base abilities on the card do not go away now. So if I alchemize the figurehead with the hag here, my figurehead that comes out will retain the abilities that it had, and then just add 1 to 2 new abilities based on whatever inputs were present. So you can see that this cursed figurehead retains all of its abilities here, but I also got both of the hag abilities. The other thing that I made is I don't randomize the crit chances or crit multipliers anymore in the alchemy. I don't randomize the tier of the card anymore in alchemy, and I don't randomize the turn cooldown anymore in alchemy. So basically the only things now that change during alchemy are the abilities that get added to the card. Now that may be too far in the other direction of not enough randomness, but a lot of the feedback I got was that alchemy was just like unpredictable, or it was unclear what changed. So I think there's 2 ways to clear that up. One is to just make fewer things change at once. And then the other way to clear that up is to maybe show some kind of like before or after. But I think the before and after is kind of largely unnecessary now. I think the before and after is largely unnecessary now, because if the only thing that is changing is new abilities are being added every time, then there's not really much to show like before and after, right? Like you could just look at it and see what the new abilities are. So hopefully that makes the alchemy feel a little bit nicer. We'll see. I'm kind of worried that that goes too far in the other direction of not being random enough, but I think the plan is to lean more into like reagents as a way of like fine-tuning your cards rather than relying on pure RNG. Okay, so this is dealing the 6 self damage. 3/3. So yeah, that's right. Okay. Cool. All right. Just found out your Udemy courses and it's really cheap right now for someone using Unity. Do you think it's a good buy? Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that I would say with my courses is that you should have some programming experience, or some game engine experience is good too. But if you've been using Unity, then you have both of those, so it should be fine. Should be fine. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. Moneybags. I mean, that's just, I mean, I would just look at your own behavior if you've ever participated in a game jam before, like when you're rating games. Like when I go and I participate in like GMTK or the Ludum Dare, when I go to test people's games, I'm usually just like rapid firing through them. I might spend like 3 to 4 minutes on a game. Basically, I play the game until I get the gist of it. And then that's how I do my ratings. Sometimes I'll play a game, like there was one game in last GMTK that I played for like an hour with my friend because it was really fun. But generally speaking, I only spend like 3 to 5 minutes on each game that I try, because it's usually pretty easy to tell within the first 3 to 5 minutes, like what is the core idea of the game, how does it fit the theme, and then like how's the art and sound and all that stuff. I found out this week that you can use particles to spawn animated sprites. It's going to be a game changer for my 2D game. Awesome. I just did some birds that once they fly away, they swarm in every direction. It looks so cute. I want to die. Yeah, when the particles come together like that, it's awesome. That's the issue I was running into. I didn't know what the output would be. The frustrating thing was not knowing which cards I could put together without having negative effects. So it was a guessing game, you know. Right, yeah. So it should be a lot more predictable now, but please still put your feedback in the Discord. You may raise a problem with alchemy that is either I didn't fully consider, or that just reinforces the feedback I already got. Because even if you have feedback that was already said by somebody else, the quantity of similar feedback is a good way of judging like how important something is to address, right? If like 80% of playtesters are all saying the same thing, then that's very obviously something that needs to be addressed. But if like a handful of people are saying that they don't like something here or there, it may still be worth addressing those things, but it also may be the case that that's just, that feedback may not necessarily be need to be acted on, right? Okay. And add damage to cursed figurehead. Awesome. So that cursed figurehead was courtesy of my friend. That idea. We still need to do the flavor text for it. But that is done. Thank you, Okrames. Like so many not knowing a status effects do. Yeah, I wonder... So I think a large amount of that feedback is because players don't know that they can inspect cards and bring up like the full inspector, right? So making that more obvious, maybe in the tutorial or probably in the tutorial, is going to be a good thing to do. But also, you know, there may be another way to do that. I think, you know, once I add the in-game encyclopedia too, and I point it out so that players can go and reference that whenever they want. I actually have been working on this UI mockup again, this unlock mockup. So I'm kind of just like mocking up what like an unlock / encyclopedia window would look like. And so these buttons, this would be like card packs, characters, artifacts, and then this would be like the encyclopedia over here. And then this encyclopedia would just have like a bunch of different topics. So there would be like a list of topics here. And then there would just be like text here. And then this would just have a list of all kinds of stuff. Like this could be like status effects. And then underneath status effects, there could be like fire, poison, bleed, right? And then here could be like turn execution logic, and then whatever, you know. And so you could just click down the list and read about whatever you want to read about. So that's the general idea anyway. But I've just been working on this UI very slowly because it's a lot of art. It's a lot of art. But we'll get there. I might actually take these buttons here. These might become the new default buttons for the game, actually. That might be fun to implement right now, actually. Let me think about that. Do we want to implement these new buttons right now? UX is hard, yeah. Did you add screen shake in your game? I did, yes. I did. Bought the 2D survivors and a grid-based puzzle. After finishing it, we'll be on the same level, right? Right? You will be much closer, yes. You'll be much closer. That's for sure. All right, give me 1 second here. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I like the new mock-up compared to yesterday with these buttons. Yeah, thank you. I think the buttons are good. Maybe we'll just go ahead and implement the button, because I don't like the existing buttons. So maybe we'll do that. Now I gotta figure out what the heck I'm doing. I've got so many just random layers in here. Okay, so text. So basically it's just this. So let's copy this. We'll go file new. Yuck. Okay. Let's just get this outlined here. So I'm going to need like a highlighted state for this as well. But let's just go ahead and save this first. Assets, UI, buttons. Yeah, let's do buttons, alter. You know what? Maybe I'll just overwrite this. I'm just going to overwrite this. I'm not going to save that. Okay, canvas size, height times 2. Okay. Oops. Can't see. That's 4. That's 4. Okay, so 4 and 4. That's all right. Okay. Let's rename this to default. Let's add a new layer, or duplicate this layer rather. This would be hovered. Let's see, that's 5. That's 6. That's 5. It should be all right. Should be all right. Let's see if I just brighten this up. I guess that'll work. That seems fine to me. Okay, let's export this as buttons.png, and then we need to go to theme now. Oh, I need to go to my custom button, actually. Custom. What? Custom button. Custom minimum size. Oops. Okay. Probably need to edit the theme. I think I did this in kind of a weird way, but that's okay. Styles, style box, texture. So let's go ahead and edit this. I hope these buttons are big enough. Oops. We're gonna have to see. Subregion, edit region. Let's do pixel snap, please. I'll just put this exactly on the borders there. Okay, close. So the width is 105 and the height is 21. So I'm going to need to change this to 105 and 21. Okay. And then we need the hover. Subregion, edit region. Bring this over here. Bring this down. Bring this over. Bring this up. Okay. This should be the same. Okay, let's just copy this and paste it here. And then pressed. We might want to do a pressed one as well. That may actually be, we'll try that, but let's just see how this looks first. I want to make sure that all my menus still look all right. So let's not skip menu. Skip menu. Here we go. Oh, that looks terrible. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? I think the old data is being saved, unfortunately, but that's all right. Why is that happening? Oh, if custom minimum size is not equal to 0, return. Why is that there? I don't think I need that. That's probably what's kind of messing it up. There we go. Now we got to figure out the text here. So let's go back into the button. Unfortunately, I don't think it's possible to outline button text. So I may need to actually further extend this. I may need to further extend this. I may end up adding my own label to this. And we also have some issues with the content margins, I think. Let's do 3 for the top margin. And then content margins 3. Okay. Still not looking good. Why are none of these working? I don't understand this. Do I need to resave all of these places? Playtest notice. Tutorial notice. I'm returning if the engine is not an editor hint, but I don't know why I'm doing that. I think I just want this to just do its sizing every time it enters the tree. That should fix it in every place where it's broken. Those buttons do look better though. Trying to think, I also have the pause menu here. Yeah, look at that. That looks much better. Options, full screen on, screen shake on off. Probably will redo these sliders at some point too. Okay, so that looks much better. I don't like the fact that I can't outline this text though, so maybe we'll, I don't know, it's kind of a tangent, but maybe we'll fix that. What was the other thing I was going to do? Oh yeah, let's try adding a, let's see, canvas size 58. So that's what, 29? So I need to add 29 to this. Let's see if we could do a pressed state as well. So I could step down the color again. It would just become black though, which may be too much, but we'll try it. We will try it. Theme. We'll go to my pressed here. Let's make this unique. Okay, and then in here, texture margins, no, subregion. There we go. Okay, and then we probably want to change the font pressed color as well. Maybe we'll just do purple. Font hover pressed color, I don't know what that is. Okay. Ooh, I kind of like that. That seems to work pretty decently. Okay, that looks pretty good. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good too. Alrighty, so we'll just say update button art here. And now what I want to do is, let's see if we can do, we're going to do a label in here. So if not engine is editor hint, what we're going to do is we're going to set text is equal to string.empty. Or I think, can I set null here? I think I can set null. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do, let's see. I actually don't know how to do this. So we'll do add child, new label. We'll do size is equal to, let's do this. Text is equal to text. So we're just going to add a label as a child. Oh, okay. But we need to set the vertical alignment equals vertical alignment dot center, horizontal alignment dot center. So I do need to move it down a little bit. Custom minimum size minus new vector 2, 0, 3. Position equals new vector 2, 0, 3. Ooh, that looks so much better. Look at that. Boom. I don't know if you could see it that well, but just adding the outline to the text makes a huge difference. So unfortunately, I just had to add my own label to that, but that's okay. I can still configure the button text in the editor, and then what it will do is it will just take that text and create a label as a child underneath it. So that works. Now I don't have the pressed. I don't have the pressed color now though. So if I want to modify the pressed color, let me think. Do I have a way of knowing when it's pressed? Like when it's actually held down? I don't know. Let's see. Button down and button up. Okay, so I need to listen for button down and button up. Okay. Public override void ready if engine.isEditor hint. We're just going to return. Okay, button down plus equals on button down. Button up plus equals on button up. So I am going to need to store a reference to this label. So we're going to say var label equals, no, not var label. Label equals new label. Add child label. Private void on button down. Private void on button up. Okay, we don't care about this. We don't care about that. What I'm going to try to do is I want to set the color of the font. So let's see. Theme overrides colors. Font color. Label.add theme color override. Private static read only string name, font color, add theme color override font color. This would be game constants.color purple. Label.remove theme color override font color. Hopefully that works. For pressed, you can invert the highlighting to make it look like the central part is being pressed down. Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. So basically just flip it. So that's a little bit, the color, the font color stays until I release the mouse button, which is okay, I suppose. Do I want to handle that case? I don't know if I want to handle that case. Another day of avoiding work. Hello, Courier Games. Welcome, welcome. Alrighty, what should we do now? What should we do now? This game's UI is incredible. Thank you, Code Red. Thank you. I'm trying. UI is probably the hardest thing for me because it's like not just the user experience design of the UI. That's a hard part, but then the UI tends to be a lot more detailed than the other art that I'm drawing for the game, so it's very difficult, but I'm glad it's turning out well. What does the Discord button do? It just takes you to it's just the Discord invite link. That's all it is. How do you do this though? You can use os.shell open. So if you call os.shell open with your link, that will open up the link in the user's default browser, basically. I have no idea if this works on Steam Deck though. But it works on desktop platforms. It just opens up your default browser. Thanks, Abastille. You're welcome. What's going on behind the scene when objects in the inventory make way for something you want to put in? Yeah, so that is, let me think, where is that? So that is all handled by this block of code here, this board placement state. So what essentially happens is, and it's been a while since I wrote this, so it's it's I may not be able to tell you exactly what's happening, but I store the initial state of the board so that I have something to restore to in case the displacement fails. And then basically what's happening is I'm just looking for whatever cards are being overlapped by the card that you're currently dragging. And then I enqueue those as cards that need to be displaced, meaning they need to find different positions. And then while that queue has cards in it, I have this method, find nearest empty position. And I basically just try to find any nearby positions that work, and then I try to place the card at position. But the thing is, if that card moves to another spot, or no, current card, let's see, current card. Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but get overlapping cards. Get overlapping cards. But anyway, it keeps looking for more and more overlapping cards and it adds those back to the queue. So it's kind of just like doing the operation as many times as necessary. The thing that I'm not remembering is why is this find nearest empty valid position. Yeah, actually, so this is finding the nearest empty position on the board, but what I don't understand is how this get overlapping cards is working. I don't know how it's finding, I don't know how this is working actually. I don't know how it's finding more overlapping cards because try place card at position. So it gets the new position. It finds the nearest valid empty position for a card. Then it tries to place that card at position. Oh, I see how it's working, okay. So this could fail. So this try place card at position, it could fail to place that card. Find nearest valid empty position. See, I don't actually know how that's working. I have no idea. I don't know how this get overlapping cards is actually working. But anyway, the idea is that it just keeps finding overlapping cards and it keeps finding valid empty positions, and it just applies an animation to find the nearest valid empty position until everything's settled. I just don't know exactly how this interaction and this interaction are working. Like, could this ever fail? Try place card at position. Find nearest. What are these exclusion cells? I don't know. I honestly can't tell you why this is working. Anyway, I don't think it's worth trying to figure out right now, but anyway. there's the, I showed you all the code, so maybe one of you can figure it out. Works on Steam Deck, just tested it, brings up a browser. Okay, awesome. Makes sense, yeah. It's relatable, not knowing why you coded something months later. Yeah, I don't even remember. This might have been like 6 months ago or something. Yeah, it was 6 months ago. So I wrote this code a half a year ago, and so I have no clue what's going on there. The code is self-documenting. Yeah, I just don't know. There's something weird happening with the logic. There's a specific interaction that I don't know how it's working. I mean, we could try to figure it out here. Get card occupied cells, get card root position, try place card at position. So we animate the displacement. I mean, this is actually always going to succeed, I think. I mean, there was one easy way to test it. I can go to my card inspection tool, and I can just go through this massive lag fest that happens here when I try to move cards around. So I go to ally. Yeah, that is never printing. So this placement is always going to succeed. Get overlapping cards. Huh? Is this just... I just don't know how that get further overlapping cards is working, actually. That's interesting. Love when I forget my own code, yeah. Exclusion cells. Oh, I see, I see. I was missing a core part of this. So this apply displacement at position, I'm passing in an at position here, and the at position is wherever my mouse is hovered. So what it's doing is it's basically, it's going in here, and when it finds the nearest valid empty position, the cells under the mouse are marked as excluded cells. So when it's finding the nearest valid empty position, what it's doing is it's just, I'm generating like a set of cells underneath the mouse position that are going to be counted as excluded for the purpose of placing the card at that position. And then that's how I get the overlapping cards here, because the underlying card state is not changing. I'm basically saying force the card that I'm currently dragging into the position that I'm dragging it to, and then get the list of all the cards that are currently occupying that position that I'm kind of like forcing that card into. And then for each of those cards, it will do the displacement here. So it just runs the displacement for those cards again. But you'll notice that the exclusion cells are not changing. So basically those cards are being prevented from displacing back into the place where the dragon card is going to be placed. So they're forced to find other solutions, and then that just kind of like ripples out. So as long as overlaps are detected a bunch of times, it will just keep rerunning this until everything is shaken out. And that's why if I do the sort of dragging operation here, it gets super laggy because it's rippling probably, thousands of times. But we can see that my idle has shifted down below. So it's not perfect. It kind of breaks down with larger boards. The displacement becomes less predictable and very laggy. But I don't have boards this size in the actual game, so. But you can see like that alembic is getting pushed way down to the bottom here to fit there. So yeah. Anyway, we figured it out. We figured it out. I was not accounting for this at position here. Okay. Anyway, that was a fun tangent. That was a fun tangent. All right, what should we do? What should we do? We implemented the new button. That's done. What's in my to-do list here? I have to ask again, how did you make this card tool? It's pretty easy. I mean, it's easy because of all the systems that I've built, but basically all I'm doing is I'm just loading the systems that I already have. So I already have boards that can accept cards, right? So I just have a board. I'm setting it to, I have unbounded mode set, which just means that the board is going to grow to fit all the cards that I want to put on it. And then I have a list of all my cards, and all the cards have data associated with them through their card definition resource. So it just becomes a matter of when I apply the filters, I'm just removing all the cards from the board when I call this apply filters, and then I'm adding the cards back to the board selectively based on if they match the filters that I have. So my filter options are like which faction, what selected tags, and then what ability types. And then yeah, it's just a matter of going through each of those cards, those hundreds of cards, and then just batching the filters against each of them and only placing the card back on the board if the filter matches. I would never have thought to do something like this. This is why having like generic modular game systems is pretty important, because I was able to just pull over, like if I look at my card inspection tool, I was just able to pull over my mouse events manager, my card tooltip, and my board manager. And those were the minimal like components that I needed to make this work. And it just works. So you can very easily make tools like this for your game if you're properly modularizing your code. Basically made a front end to visualize your systems, yeah. Made a scene just for you, yeah. And that's a good way to approach making tools too, is like you could just make a standalone scene that is not run anywhere during the normal gameplay, but that you can just run from the editor. That's how I do a lot of my tools. Of course, I have these other tools here that are actually making use of like the editor scripts, like the card statistics tool here, for example. And that reminds me, I should run this card ID constants, no, ID constants generator. And that will spit out updated card IDs for me. Also could be reused for the player. Yeah, I mean, there's an opportunity for that for sure. All right, what do you guys want to do? What do you guys want to see? We could do some more content, I suppose. All right, here's what I'll do. Card inspection tool. Oops, I already have it open. So I may have to abruptly end the stream at some point. I'm meeting my mother for lunch, but she's coming here first, and I don't know if she's going to tell me when she's on her way, so if she shows up, I may have to abruptly end the stream, but let's think about... So we need more relic cards for sure. If I look at just my ally relic cards, I guess there's quite a few relics here. But probably need more relics, need more weapons for sure. Yeah, so relic and weapon cards would be useful to add, or both. We could add a card that is both of them. And then in terms of ability, what are we lacking? We're lacking some shield. We have enough fire, we have enough poison. So maybe shield, some kind of weapon that does shield. Some kind of relic weapon that does shielding, maybe. Anyway, throw your ideas in the chat, and I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll try to draw that. Bug fixes like you going through the process of finding the issue and explaining why it's causing the bug. Yeah, I mean, we could do that. Let's see. Do I have any bugs? I actually only have one bug in the list. And that's not, I mean, it's kind of a bug. It's not really a bug, but I think I've fixed most of the bugs that people discovered during the playtest. Mama Belly, you want a fire artifact? We can do a fire artifact. Let's do that. We'll do a fire artifact. Dang, almost no bug fixes left. Haven't found any so far. Awesome. Yeah, I think the biggest one was like there was a crash that happened sometimes, but I was using sub viewports in my cards. So I had this card scene. I was using a sub viewport here previously for like the why does that seem broken to me? Did I break something? Anyway, I was using sub viewports previously in the cards for like legendary effects and stuff. And that was, I think, probably causing some of the crashes. So I removed the sub viewport entirely. And I hope that that fixed the crashing. We'll see. I think I broke something. Oh, I think I did break something. Shoot, well, here's a bug we need to fix. Dang it. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna have to go back in the history and fix that. I might not do that. Let's do a fire artifact first, but there's a bug for us. When I was changing this, I think I messed up my materials. So card turn indicator is using legendary shader mistakenly. That's bug. So we'll fix that. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and when we come back, let's create an artifact that buffs fire in some way. Probably increase the fire duration. I think that would be a good one. But give me just 3 minutes. I'll be right back, and we'll continue on. All right, I'm back. Thank you for your patience. That must feel great. A relic and a weapon, maybe a stone sword. Ooh, that's a good one. Stone sword. Did you fix the bug where if you click on the same card multiple times quickly, it brings up the inspect window multiple times and then you have to close the window multiple times? Yes, I did. So that was a Linux specific bug. And that was down to the way that mouse events are handled. So apparently there's a difference in operating systems in terms of like how mouse events are propagated. Anyway, the problem was that a mouse motion event was not being propagated to update the hover state of the cards. So the way that I thought it would work is that I click on a card and then there is that inspector, that card inspector that shows up. And this has a blocking UI element. So this margin container will stop mouse events. So as soon as this scene gets instantiated, this is laying on top of everything and stopping mouse events. The problem is that state about what the mouse was hovered over, what control the mouse was hovered over, was not updating immediately on Linux. So it ended up being the case that if I didn't move my mouse at all, it would still retain the idea that I was hovered over the card for like a second until it would update. And that did not happen on Windows, and to my knowledge, that didn't happen on Mac either. So it's just kind of like an oddity, a quirk of how Godot, or I guess specifically Linux, propagates its mouse events. Anyway, that's what I discovered anyway from my Google searches. So the fix was I just propagate a fake mouse motion event through the tree to force an update to all the control hover states. So I've shown this before, but I just have this propagate mouse motion here. And all that this does is this just takes the current mouse position and pumps like a fake mouse motion event through Godot's input system. And that forces all the control hover, like mouse enter, mouse exit states to update. So all that is to say, yes, I fixed that. And don't let anyone tell you I'm not dedicated to this game, because I spent like 4 or 5 hours trying to get Linux installed on my machine, just specifically so that I could clone my project and run Godot from the Linux side and fix the bug too. So anyway, it's fixed. But the nice thing is now I also have a Linux distribution on my, as a dual boot option. So if another Linux specific bug comes up, I could just boot into that and fix it from there. Fire relic ideas. Flint and steel. I already have flint. Imp, demon tooth, claw, wing. I was thinking something like an ember of some kind of character. Those kind of issues feel so good when you fix them. That's true, yeah. I mean, I was just happy to reproduce the issue. Like the bugs that are the worst are the ones that you can't reproduce. And so getting to the point where I had Linux working where I could actually run the project, and then I saw that the double click bug was happening for me. I was like, okay, now I can actually investigate this, right? Anyway, let's do an artifact. Ideas. I need to split these ideas into different columns. Troubleshooting something you can replace would be painful, yeah. Actually, having the same issue on Temple OS. Think you can look into it? It's all right. Okay, I think we have like 45 minutes here, so let's see what we can do. Let's just open up the artifacts here. Here's all my artifacts. I can't wait until like this whole thing is filled with artifacts. That's going to be so much fun. Anyway. So I wanted to do something like an ember. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to draw this effectively. I'm just going to put some stuff down. I should have probably done this a different way, but that's all right. I don't know about this. How do I draw an ember? That's the thing. Or maybe I won't do ember. Maybe I'll do like coals or something. Oh shoot, this is too big. Dang it. Dang it. It's okay. It's still too wide. Let's just bring this over. No, let's do this. Okay. Well, I think it looks all right. Can't really complain too much about it, I don't think. I might pepper in some of these darker ones too, to just kind of give it the impression that there's layers here. Might do this. I mean, I think that looks decent. This feels a little bit unbalanced. Maybe I'll put this up a little bit and then move this one. I'm going to, let's see. Let's just preemptively draw a border here and then put this up here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I think that's probably good. We've got enough space on all sides. And we'll outline it. What do we think? The final boss is ass kicking in this game. Oh, a mermaid. Everburn Flame. Yeah, something like an Eternal Flame or like something. Ooh, maybe I have a name. What app are you using for your to-do list? It's Obsidian with the Kanban community plugin. Hopefully you don't encounter specific bugs that only appear on ARM Mac or ARM Windows. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. As far as I'm aware, Godot is supposed to work just fine on those platforms, but... Actually, I'm not sure. Can Godot export for ARM Windows? Maybe I do need to do ARM builds. Oh, yeah. I wonder if I should do that. Maybe I should. Let's see. I think I can configure that in Steam. Do build, do export presets, and build configuration for ARM Linux and ARM Windows. I don't really know how to tag that, but that'll be something I have to do. Isn't it too wide on the right? Oh, you're right, it is. Oops. Dang it. That's probably all right. Looks good, you like it? What's that to the left of it? This one? That's the Manticore Stinger. Fortunately, they cannot do much about floating point weirdness between arches. At some point, Intel and AMD user cannot play a fighting game together. Oh, interesting. Make it in your deploy pipeline. Do you have an action set up already? Yeah. Yeah, I would just have to add that. Does Steam support launching ARM games? The client is x86-64. That I'm not actually sure of. I wonder if I could look at it. Oh, I actually don't remember how to do this. Oh, all Steam has... Okay, so maybe I don't need to do that. Yeah, Steam is just... The only thing you can specify is 32 or 64-bit. At least from my quick search right there. Maybe there is no ARM stuff. Could always ignore it and rely on FEX to get stable enough alongside with the release of the Steam frame. Okay, anyway. I'm just going to call this one Coles in here for now. Export artifacts. Let's create a new artifact resource now. We'll see if we can get this done. A resource, data artifact, create new resource, artifact, resource. We'll just call this Coles, save. Copy this, paste this here. Paste, make unique. Okay. There's our Coles. Check this out. Coles of Eternity. Bam. Okay, what do we want to make it do? I don't have currently a way of modifying the turn duration in here. Where's my ability explanations? Fire. Where is fire? So we can either increase the number of executions that fire does, or we could decrease the turn interval. I think increasing the amount of executions is fine. Lasts 50% longer, but deals damage. Oh, you want to change both. Okay, interesting. That's a good one. Maybe you can make fire damage spread to surrounding enemy cards. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't have like a direct spread mechanic, but I could, I mean, I could have the artifact put like a self fire damage on the enemy board. That would be kind of cool. But that could be a different artifact too. Like I can have multiple fire artifacts for sure. Unfortunately, Oh, that didn't work. Okay. Let's create the fire artifact first. Artifact, Manticore, Stinger. Nope. Okay, so there's our Coals artifact build. We've put that artifact ID in here now. So now, I think I'm just going to do this an easy way first. Private int adjusted turn interval is equal to turn interval. Well, let's just do this. Adjusted turn interval is equal to artifact manager dot count, get artifact count by ID, artifact ID dot coals. So this would be turn interval plus, and then let's do private int adjusted duration, turn duration. Adjusted turn duration, and then adjusted turn interval. Okay. Fire takes 1 turn longer to execute, but executes 1 additional time. So maybe something like that. What's the reasoning for the relics are in an atlas and not its own image? So one reason is that it's just easier to see everything that I have lined up like this, and they're like static images, so it's not like they have different. They all have the same bounding box. They're all 24 by 24. It's just easier to see everything here in one place. It's easier to make edits to the art across all the artifacts if I need to tweak them. But also, like, they could just share an atlas texture too, so these are all referencing the same underlying texture, which in some cases can be a performance benefit, but mostly I just didn't want to clutter up the file system with a bunch of individual 24 by 24. So it's easier for me to edit and go in and edit if I'm just going to one place. I don't have to create a new file or a new Sprite file every time. It's just easier. It's not the cards that burn, it's the entire Omni board that has the status, right? Don't you want the interval to be subtracted? No, yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good. So we could try this now. So project settings, test player artifacts, coals. Let's make sure that I have skeleton mage, training dummy, skip menu, get rid of the skeletal hand. Enable test player artifacts on. So let's see. Let's see what happens. I don't know how I'm going to verify this. I mean, I can see that this should execute, or it should deal damage 4 times now instead of... Oh, it's not working at all. Oops, something's wrong. Is that the... Is that the artifact that's causing that problem? Or did I break something else down the line? I feel like I must have broken something else down the line. It's literally not applying the fire stacks. Oops. Well, that's not good. Am I brain farting, or do I need to, like, call... Hold on. I must have broken something. Let's see. When you created the stack context, did you remove something that's causing it to not work? No, the stack context was working. The only thing I can think of is I modified the turn stuff. Oh, interesting. Okay, so none of that is a problem. Interesting. Well, that's probably related to the execution context that I did. Well, let's just go ahead and see what happens if I debug it. If it doesn't get into this breakpoint, we're going to have a problem. Oh yeah, why are things breaking? Okay, so it's getting here. Modified context. Stacks to apply is 2. Status stack context. Stacks to apply is 2. Initiator board. Yeah, it's the player board is the initiator board. Receiver board is the enemy board, so that's good. Type equals fire status. Base status, ref counted. Receiver is player board, initiator is player board. We have the player board here. Okay, well, let's go into the fire status then. Oh, it is applying the fire. It's just not showing up in the status. list. Huh? Hold on a second. So it's applying the fire, but it's not showing up in the status list? Why is that happening? It's also not taking any damage. What? Status applied. Oh boy. On status applied. Status container. I have no idea where this would have broken. Huh? I guess I'll put a breakpoint here. This is weird. I don't know why this broke all of a sudden. I hope it's not related to the changes that I made just a little bit ago. Something is weird. Status label dot text. Ah. We'll find it in here. Text is 2. So it is getting the proper text. Why? So it's setting the text properly. Did I? Huh. I am somewhat baffled here. Execute. Let's see where execute is being done. Maybe it's never actually executing. I guess we'll just check. Is this never executing? What in the world is going on here? I'm sure it's just something kind of stupid here, but we'll figure it out. Maybe. We'll see. Let's see. Okay. I think I have to go now. So sorry, everyone. Check out Alchemortis in the description below. I have to go. My mother is here. Hope you all have a good day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.